Enjoy the convenience of 7 days a week banking and extended hours with Cube from First Arkansas Bank and Trust. Member FDIC. It's time for From the Short Grass with Trey Schaap, a golf podcast for those who love golf, struggle with golf, and just like to enjoy the outdoors and fellowship with friends, all while chasing a ball around trying to put it in a 4 1/4 inch diameter hole. From the Short Grass is brought to you by Blackman Auctions. For over 80 years, better auctions have always been Blackman Auctions. By MinnowsPlus.com. From baits to waders, if it helps you catch a fish, they have it. And now, from the Short Grass, here is your host, Trey Schaap.
Welcome to another edition of From the Short Grass. I am your host, Trey Schaap, the golf podcast that talks to those who truly have a love for the game. Congratulations to Patrick Cantlay on winning the Tour Championship and the FedEx Cup at East Lake Golf Club by one shot over Jon Rahm and taking home the $15 million prize for his work over the weekend. Rahm pockets $5 million with his runner-up finish. Team Europe knocked off Team USA in the Solheim Cup at Inverness Club in Toledo, Ohio. Europe keeps the cup after winning 15-13. Coming up on this edition of From the Short Grass, he spent 30 years as a referee in the NFL. Walt Coleman will be on the tee. Hunting season is here, and for all of your hunting needs, shop MinnowsPlus.com. They have everything you will need. MinnowsPlus.com.
This is Thomas Blackman of Blackman Auctions. Trey asked me to sponsor his show for another few months. Even though I don't like golf, I do like his show. I have no idea how he gets the awesome variety of guests on his show, but it is entertaining and informative even for a horrible golfer like myself. I'm learning a lot about the game and about the passion for playing. So much so, I've started using my country club for more than Sunday brunch. Trey makes golf interesting, I make auctions interesting. For auctions, listen to me. For golf, listen to Trey. Since 1938, better auctions are Blackman Auctions.
Minnows Plus is your local source for live bait and live well supplies. They carry the entire line of SureLife products, everything from better bait and finer shiner to no ammonia products to keep your bait and your catch thriving till you get back to the dock. They are the best source for all your private land ponds. Minnows Plus has fish food and pond fertilizer to keep your pond healthy and thriving all year long. If you own or run a bait and tackle shop and need to resupply, contact Minnows Plus and ask about their wholesale prices. Open to the public and walk-ins are welcome. Find them on the web at MinnowsPlus.com.
Welcome back to this edition of From the Short Grass. On the tee, retired NFL referee Walt Coleman.
Walt, welcome to From the Short Grass. Glad you're sitting down with me. And interesting story about how you got started in the game of golf. 30 years refereeing in the NFL, and you never picked up a golf club.
No, never. I never had time, Trey. I mean, between my NFL work and doing all that, and then the dairy and raising kids and so forth, I never had the time to go out there and play golf. I mean, I wish I had, because there were so many opportunities for me to play golf. I mean, there were guys that were on my crew that would play a course in one of the cities and so forth and play golf. I mean, when I was in NFL Europe, I mean, we went to over to Europe and they played the courses in Scotland and so forth and all that, and I just would go and walk around and so forth. So
you went and watched?
Yeah, I would go watch and so forth, because those are some of those historic places that are over there, like St. Andrews and so forth. I wanted to see them, but I didn't play golf, and so I didn't want to obviously just go out there and beat it around, not having played.
So growing up, when you were a kid, what did you play? What sports did you play?
Well, I played every other sport, and a lot of it is what your parents do and that kind of stuff. And my dad, he wasn't a golfer. He didn't play golf. He coached baseball, and he officiated every sport: basketball, football, did track meets. So that was kind of the direction that I always went. And so I wasn't around somebody that played golf. We weren't country club people, so I just never really played golf. So officiating was what I took up as my hobby. That was my hobby. It turned into much more than that.
I was going to say, it turned into a lot more than that.
A lot more than that. So I never I would, when I was, in high school and so forth, we'd go out there and hit golf balls around and so forth. But as far as actually, taking up playing golf, it just wasn't anything that I ever did.
Do you remember the first time you put on the stripes and got paid for it?
Well, sure. Yeah, it was at Scott Field. Yeah, Scott Field, a junior high football game at Scott Field, and I got $10 for that junior high football game.
And the last time you put on the stripes was in the Pro Bowl.
Yes, was in the Pro Bowl
in Orlando, Florida.
Yes,
and you got paid a lot more than $10 for that one.
Yeah, it was about 11,000. 11,000. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a big change. It was a big change just from the time I got in the NFL. Because when I got in the NFL, it was $600 a game. So, went from $600 to $11,000 in my
TV contracts helped with that, didn't it?
Yeah, it probably had something to do with it, or it had a lot to do with it.
The last game that really mattered, the Pro Bowl, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't count.
But the last game you did that mattered, New England Patriots, they gave you the game ball from that game?
Yeah. When the game was over, Brady brought me a football. He came out when the game was over and handed me a football. And then after the game in the locker room, Mr. Kraft came in the locker room and presented me with a ball from him, and which I very much appreciated that because I have a lot of respect for the Patriots organization, and
a lot of Patriots fans have a lot of respect for you too.
Yeah, they particularly like one call that I made. So, but that was very nice, and I really, I appreciated doing that. So it was interesting that that I did have that New England was my last game. I imagine the league has something to do with that, but I don't know.
So when you go back and in growing up and everything, and your early years of officiating, did you watch much golf on TV? Did you follow the likes of an Arnold Palmer, or Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus?
Oh yeah, because it was sports. I mean, I was a sports guy.
Right.
I mean, I didn't listen to music. I was a sports guy. I mean, every night I'd go to bed listening on the radio to whatever was on there. If it was normally it was the Cardinals. If the baseball season was over, I'd even listen to hockey on the radio or whatever. So I was a sports guy. So if there was sports on the television, I was because that's the way I was brought up. I mean, I was brought up around sports, around athletics, and so that was my interest. So yeah, I watched all those, Palmer and Nicklaus and Gary Player and those guys. I mean, those guys were, when I was coming up and so forth. Obviously, then Tiger Woods, and I mean, I've always followed golf. I guess I never really appreciated how difficult golf is until I started playing, because it's like any sport, the professionals make it look easy. I mean, they make it look easy, so you can think watching it, well, it's really not that hard.
Unless you got a putt that you need to sink.
That's
to
exactly
advance
right.
or make quite a bit of money.
It's just like officiating. People sit up in the stands and they think, oh, that's easy. I can do that. Until you get down there and you got everybody going so fast and all these people, but professionals make it look easy. So those golfers, they make it look easy.
Yeah, they do.
And you know how
they do sometimes, and sometimes it's not so easy.
No, yeah, even for them.
You retired, and your crew, and as most places, when you've worked somewhere for a long time and you retire, you're probably going to get some kind of parting gift or something as you go off into the sunset. We've seen coaches get gifts. We've seen players get gifts as they've announced their retirement. They have 1 year left. Your crew gave you a set of golf clubs.
Yes, my crew decided.
But you didn't play golf at the time.
No, I didn't play golf. But they knew I was retiring from the NFL, and most of the guys on my crew played golf, and they felt like that was something that I was probably going to need to take up to fill in my time and so forth. And I thought, well, I don't know about this. They gave me a nice set of golf clubs. And I mean, it was golf clubs are not cheap, so
no.
So I mean, it was a really nice gift. It's.
How did they present it to you?
Well, so at the last game, they had a picture because we're in New England. I mean, you don't want to ship golf clubs in New England. So they had a picture of the clubs and all that kind of stuff, and so then they shipped it to the house in Little Rock.
Was it after the game or before the game?
Well, they did it. We meet. We have meet on Saturdays.
Sure.
And the crew gets together and so forth. And so it's at our meeting on Saturday where they presented me with. They had some other stuff too. They had a picture of me that they had blown up where I was coming out on the field, and it showed my back. And then they had a quote from Rudyard Kipling that was underneath it that was really nice. And So they had, some things like that, and then the picture of the golf clubs that they presented me as far as at that last meeting, as far as that we had at that Jets New England game. So, and I thought, well, I wonder if I'm going to actually use these things. And as it turned out, it was a great, great, great gift.
I was going to say, so all of a sudden COVID hits.
Oh, yeah.
And you couldn't go anywhere. But you could go outside.
That's exactly right.
And you could play golf, and that's when you picked up the game.
That's exactly right. I could, you couldn't go anywhere and do anything hardly, but you could go outside. My wife would allow me to go outside, and so forth.
I was going to say, I would think that she'd want to spend some time with you since you've been gone almost every weekend.
I did spend a lot of time, together because of COVID also. But that's when I started. So I'd been a member out at Eagle Hill for a long time. And been paying the dues for years, for 20 years, and I never played. So I figured, well, now's the time for me to catch up. So when I first started going out there and decided to play, I was playing by myself. I didn't know anybody. So I just went out and started hitting the golf ball.
I was going to say, did you have anybody instruct you? Did you get any instruction from a PGA professional?
My son is a member at Colonial.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
In Fort Worth.
Yes, very nice course.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
So he plays the game.
So he plays. He doesn't get to play that much because he's got the same issues that I had back then. He's got other jobs. He's got the NFL, and he's raising, 2 boys.
Yep.
But so we would go out to Colonial, and he was taking lessons. So I took, a couple lessons and so forth. My problem with lessons is you got to remember. You got to remember, and you got to kind of keep doing it. So I have taken a few lessons. So that's kind of how I got started, and so forth. And then, but now I just enjoy playing because it's, in officiating, it's all about how good can you be. It's all about, because it's all on you. You're making the call. Nobody can help you with the call. It's all about you. Well, golf's kind of the same way. It's all about you, and it's competitive. I'm not actually going out and really compete. I'm not good enough to compete against anybody else. I just compete against myself and try to, get better and so forth. And I've really, really enjoyed getting out there and playing golf.
What is a strength of your game?
I'm consistently terrible.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I'm consistent. Really? Mine fluctuates from one day to the next. One day I'll be able to drive the ball. I don't hit it very far, so I need to hit it straight. Mm-hmm. So some days I hit it straight. Then sometimes my second shot, and out at Eagle Hill, on most of the holes, I hit a driver and I hit a 3-wood every time on the par 4s and par 5s. So those are the And then when I get up around the green, then I'm in big trouble because that's the worst part of my game.
Oh boy.
That's the worst part of my game is the chipping and around the green.
So you might need to spend some time practicing that.
Yeah, I do need to spend time practicing, but I just enjoy going out and playing. See, So and since I'm still working, when I get out there, I just go out to play. I don't have.
Do you keep score?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Heck, you got to keep score, Trey. If you don't keep score, it doesn't matter.
Well, true.
It doesn't matter.
But I would think if
it doesn't count. People look at it, doesn't count.
Okay, but if you're just starting out and trying to learn the game, keeping score might be a bad thing because you work on just trying to mold and hit the good shots and work on your swing instead of worrying about what you shoot. What was your first score that you shot?
I was like 125.
Okay.
I was trying to get below 120.
But that gives you a target, something to work towards.
But I've always believed that you got to keep score. You got to keep score, whether you're talking about your financial statement in your business or whether you're talking about keeping score at a game. You got to keep score because if you don't keep score, it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. I learned that real fast as far as in the National Football League. Get in the league, and my first 4 games are preseason games. Coaches were nice and friendly. They didn't say anything bad. Now I'm thinking, boy, Walt, you're a really good official because, nothing's happened. Well, boy, I got to that first game, and I, was on the sideline with Mike Ditka. I found out real fast that there's a difference because the game counted.
Yeah.
And so you got to keep, so I believe in keeping score. I was listening to one of your podcasts and talking about scrambles. I don't like scrambles.
Yeah.
Because
you're not playing your own ball all the time.
I'm not playing I don't know how I'm doing. Plus, most of the time, I got some young guys with me, and they hit it, 250 yards, so I don't get to play till we get to the green.
Right.
So Now they're fun because of the fellowship,
and they raise money,
and they raise money for things, and so they're fun to do that. But for me, I'd rather just go out and play my ball and see how I'm doing as an individual.
So the best score you've shot?
I shot an 84 at Long Hills.
That is good.
Benton.
From a 125 the first time in what, about 2 years?
So I'm right around 100 now. I played yesterday and shot a 99. And the day before, Monday, I shot a 102. Last week, I did pretty good. The end of the week, I had a 92 and a 93.
I say 2 years. It's actually been about a year and a half.
Yeah. So
anyway,
but like I said, I have my good days and I have my bad days.
Every golfer has good days and bad days. Look at Bryson DeChambeau this past weekend. Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And that's why I talk about how difficult it really is. And you don't realize that till you get it. You think that ball, and I played baseball and so forth, and you're trying to hit a ball, a round ball with a square, but but and that ball's moving. Well, here you got a ball that's sitting still. That thing is not moving. It is sitting there on the ground, and all you have to do is try to hit it straight and a certain distance. And it's unbelievable how difficult that is.
What football players that you saw on the field do you think were good golfers, and did they ever talk about golf?
Unfortunately, in the situation that I was in as an official, there was not a lot of visiting about that type of stuff that went on. I mean, everybody was so focused on their responsibilities and my dealings with a lot of quarterbacks. I mean, I knew which quarterbacks were good golfers, like Romo. I mean, you knew that, but that just wasn't something that got into the discussion as far as during games. Now,
I was going to say maybe, before the game when you go meet with them, talk with them, you say, hey, Tony, you going to try for the U.S. Open again next year?
The only time you'd really have an opportunity to do that is when you went to training camp. We would attend one team's training camp. You were there 3 or 4 days, so you were at practice, and so you could visit about that kind of stuff and so forth. And at that point, golf wasn't that big a deal with me. So now I visited with Kerry Collins about duck hunting in Stuttgart. Because he told me that he spends a lot of time when, and that's back there when we were doing a TV commercial, and he was standing outside the huddle waiting for me to tell him, let's go, when we started talking about duck hunting in Stuttgart. So,
and what did he say?
He said he's down there every year. He said, it's great. I said, yeah, I understand. So, but you didn't really have much of an opportunity to visit about that kind of stuff, even though, I knew who the good golfers were just because of what shows up on television and so forth. So
Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Gary Player, Phil Mickelson, is there one guy that if he's on, you're going to sit down and find time now that you have it?
Well, it was Tiger Woods. If he was playing, I guess I'm like most golfing fans. If Tiger Woods is playing and he's I'm going to sit there and watch it. That just with his career and so forth, for some reason, I just enjoyed watching him, play golf and so forth. So I guess he would be the one that I would say that if he's in the final group or whatever, I'm probably going to sit there and watch. I mean, I love watching the Masters. Yeah. And watching that and so forth. And obviously now I watch a little more golf now than I did before. Since I'm playing golf, it's much more interesting for me because I know how difficult it is.
Exactly. I have my bucket list of golf courses that I would like to play before I'm not able to play anymore, or the good Lord takes me home. Have you made a bucket list of courses that you would like to play now that you've started playing the game?
No, my problem is I've been to so many of them that I've
But you didn't play them.
I know, but so I haven't really thought about it. I mean, I've been to Pebble Beach, and I've been to Ponte Vedra,
TPC Sawgrass.
I've been down there. I mean, so I've been to a whole bunch of these courses. I'm just trying to learn how to play golf and so forth. So I haven't really played that. I haven't played that many courses and so forth. But I'd like to get good enough. I'd like one day to play a lotion. I've been out there. I've had lunch out there. I've ridden in a golf cart as far as looking at the course.
It's beautiful.
But it's unbelievable. And but I've got to get better at golf before I hit up some of my buddies that are members out there to to go play. But for around here, I mean, that would be a place that I would love to have the opportunity at some point to play. But I enjoy playing at Eagle Hill.
I hear that there are some former NFL football players that play out west at Alotian.
Oh, well, there probably are some that play out there.
Yeah. So that's what I hear. Yeah. I don't know that for sure, but that's what I hear.
Those former NFL players' incomes were a little more than what they paid officials.
Yes,
and so
quite a bit more.
But Morris, they've done such a terrific job with that out there. And
how much longer do you think you're going to play the game?
As long as I can physically get out there and do it. I mean, out at Eagle Hill, I mean, we've got guys that are in their 80s and they're shooting their age.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think that at some point,
you'll be able to do that.
That my health. It's all about your health.
Sure.
It's all about your knees. Are your knees going to hold up? Or your back? Is your back going to hold up? The older you get, the more problems you seem to find, and so forth. So I'm hoping that I can continue to play for a long time.
Last question: what would you get more nervous over, going under the hood in a playoff game, or having to make a 5-foot putt with about $10 on the line?
Well, I'd probably be more nervous just trying to make a putt, 5-foot putt, only because I'm not very good at that. And so what am I going to make it or not? Whereas looking under the, I mean, it was difficult, but at the time it was just part of the job. And, when you can see something 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 times. Now, if I got to putt it 5 times, I'd be a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, if you got to putt it 5 times, like you can look at the replay 5 times, 5 different angles.
Yeah, 5
maybe
different
20
angles.
Different angles.
Now, sometimes it didn't do me any good. All the angles. Still I didn't know what the answer needed to be, but I don't get to putt it 5 times. So I would say that it's like I tell people that putting would be, and it was more difficult for me to watch my kids play athletics and sports and that kind of stuff than it was for me to officiate an NFL football game.
Oh, I agree.
Because I can control what I was doing, but you can't control.
No, you can't.
Can't control what your kids and so forth. So that was always much harder for me.
One of the most recognizable voices in sports, Walt Coleman.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Fun to be here. Appreciate it. Love playing golf now.
This is Thomas Blackman of Blackman Auctions. Trey asked me to sponsor a show for another few months. Even though I don't like golf, I do like a show. I have no idea how he gets the awesome variety of guests on his show, but it is entertaining and informative even for a horrible golfer like myself. I'm learning a lot about the game and about the passion for playing. So much so, I've started using my country club for more than Sunday brunch. Trey makes golf interesting. I make auctions interesting. For auctions, listen to me. For golf, listen to Trey. Since 1938, Better Auctions or Blackman Auctions.
Minnows Plus is your local source for live bait and live well supplies. They carry the entire line of SureLife products, everything from Better Bait and Finer Shiner to no ammonia products to keep your bait and your catch thriving till you get back to the dock. They are the best source for all your private land ponds. Minnows Plus has fish food and pond fertilizer to keep your pond healthy and thriving all year long. If you own or run a bait and tackle shop and need to resupply, contact Minnows Plus and ask about their wholesale prices. Open to the public and walk-ins are welcome. Find them on the web at minnowsplus.com.
Friday, September 24th at 8 a.m., the largest farm sale in Central Arkansas is back. Combines, farm tractors, balers, hay rakes, tedders, mower conditioners, and disc mowers, implements of all kinds, cattle equipment, work trucks, personal vehicles, even heavy equipment like dozers, motor graders, mini excavators, backhoes, and skid steers. This is the sale you don't want to miss. For more information, go to blackmanauctions.com. Better auctions are Blackman Auctions. On the tee, it's our weekly rules segment with PGA Master Professional Adam Carney. Adam, today I want to talk about practicing on the course, when it is allowed and when it is not allowed. And obviously, some people, they hit a putt, it doesn't go the way they thought it could. When can they put the ball back down, practice that putt, and when can they not?
So, we have to first determine the form of play. Are we playing match play or are we playing stroke play? In match play, anytime. I can practice on the competition course prior to a match. I can practice during the match. I can practice after the match.
After completion of a hole.
After completion of a hole, yes. Match play is a little bit different. Now, stroke play, we get a little more finite on what we can and can't do. And actually the rules have loosened up a little bit. I can't practice on the golf course on the day of a round prior to that round. During the round, I can practice, say, chipping or putting on the green of the hole last played, or on the teeing ground of the hole next to be played, or any nearby, practice green.
So let's say you're waiting on the group in front of you and you've just completed a hole and you're not holding anybody up behind you.
Right.
Or you're on the teeing ground and you just want to chip on the teeing ground with your sand wedge or something, and there might be people playing the hole behind you, but you're still waiting on the group in front of you in the fairway. That's allowed.
Yes, it is. And then now the major change that I saw was, in stroke play competition over multiple days, I can practice on the golf course after my round that day, even though I'm playing another round. So after the first round on Thursday, I'm playing my second round on Friday. It used to be I couldn't practice on the competition course between rounds. Now I can, as long as it's not on the same day of competition. So it's loosened up a little bit. I think it's also important to note that there has always been a local rule.
I was going to ask you about the local rule on the rule sheet.
Which, the PGA Tour, even the United States Golf Association, and actually most state golf associations and tours, they have what's called a hard card. And a hard card is essentially rules that are always in effect, no matter where they're playing, that are what we would call local rules, or we might call notice to competitors if we were writing something as a conditional rule that you may or may not choose to adopt. And one of those, for the PGA Tour specifically, I'm pretty sure the USGA does it at all their events, is prohibiting practice on or around the green of the hole last played. And that's something that I'm pretty sure the PGA Tour's had an effect for since the local rule came out. I can't remember the last time I saw a PGA Tour player doing that. The last time I recall, the last person I remember being penalized for it was David Duval. If I'm not mistaken, that was in a Ryder Cup, and he assumed it was okay in match play. And the Ryder Cup's different, because the Ryder Cup, they will actually have an agreement between captains. So the hard card for the European Tour, or the hard card for the PGA Tour, or whatever, or for the PGA of America for that matter, kind of gets thrown out the window when it comes to the Ryder Cup, because the captains get together and they agree on things and, conditional rules. And one of the rules they had determined that year, and I don't believe they've done it since, was to not allow practice on or near the green in the last hole played. And David Duval, I think, hit a practice putt and subsequently lost the next hole. So, yeah, that's the last time I remember seeing, at least at the professional level, somebody being penalized for that. But, generally speaking, they lighten that up just a little bit, because we had so many instances of situations where a person technically practiced on, I can remember one, Fuzzy Zeller did a TV commercial one time in between rounds of a PGA Tour event, and I believe he hit 3 balls from the first tee, not even down the fairway, into an obscure area, and he was just, they were getting action shot of him hitting the golf shot for a TV commercial.
Why not go to the range to do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that was a DQ, was it not?
He was disqualified for that. That is correct. So, the last thing that we want to do is disqualify somebody when they're not, say, cheating, or attempting to cheat. We don't want to disqualify someone for that. So, yeah, that rule has since changed. And I don't think it came from that Fuzzy Zeller incident, because that's been 20-plus years ago. I think that was probably the most harsh example. I remember I saw one entire college team disqualified at an NCAA regional for practice putting on the 18th green one night after the first round. All 5 players were disqualified.
Wow.
And so that's kind of a tough pill to swallow,
I would say.
So, yeah, they've lightened it up a little bit, but still reasonable. I still think it's fair that in stroke play competition, you shouldn't be able to go out in the morning and hit putts or roll a ball or anything like that to gain advantage on people.
That's what the range is for. That's what the putting green is for.
Exactly right. You still have caddies walking the golf course in the morning just to see things, but they're not rolling golf balls. They're not doing anything that is practice. So
he's Adam Carney. He's with us every week going over the rules of golf. If you have a rules question, email us fromtheshortgrass@gmail.com. That will do it for this edition of From the Shortgrass. I leave you with this quote from Phil Mickelson. I think it's more than whether or not you will win or lose. It's having that opportunity on that final round, final 9, to come down the stretch with a chance to win. Remember to always repair your ball mark on the green and a couple of more. And I hope to see you from the Shortgrass.
You've been listening to From the Shortgrass, a weekly podcast dedicated to the game of golf. From the Shortgrass is brought to you by MinnowsPlus.com and Blackman Auctions. This has been a presentation of the Buzz Radio Network.